Hi, I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com. Welcome to episode 6 of the My Adventures with Superman podcast, covering episode 7 of season 1 of the new animated series titled Kiss Kiss Fall in Portal. Clark takes Lois and Jimmy to Smallville to show them the alien spaceship. While promising he'll be completely truthful from now on, Clark admits he's still trying to work out who he is and what he can do. He also asks Lois out on a date. Back in their apartment, much to Jimmy's amusement, Clark is going crazy trying to plan out the perfect date for he and Lois. A date with no weird Superman stuff. Jimmy goes to Lois's apartment where he finds her doing something very similar. She's trying to plan out how she can help Clark work out who he is. As Jimmy and Lois run off to make sure she's not late for her date with Clark, Clark gets a visitor. Mr. Mxyzptlk appears, telling Clark that Lois has been kidnapped and needs his help. Clark races off with Mixie through a portal, but it was all just a trick by Mixie to get Superman to help him break into a facility where he steals some valuables, including an old tape recorder. Lois and Jimmy are also confronted by a group of visitors via a portal. Meet the League of Lois Lanes. The group is made up of Lois Lanes from across the multiverse who are on the hunt for Superman and Mr. Mxyzptlk. Amongst them is a female version of Jimmy Olsen, Jelana, who is also a fellow Flamebird. When they take Lois and Jimmy on board their spaceship, Lois is suspicious of the League of Lois Lanes when they refuse to allow them to see a certain room on board the ship. While distracted by Jimmy, Lois sneaks into the room and learns about their headquarters. Superman, angry at Mixie for tricking him, chases him through yet another dimension, only to be confronted by the League of Lois Lanes, who shoot him with green energy guns, obviously kryptonite, which weaken the Man of Steel. When Mixie escapes on board their ship, Lois confronts him with a gun of her own. Mixie takes Lois to the headquarters of the League of Lois Lanes, where she gains possession of an information sphere. Mixie grabs his hat, which has been safely stored away, bringing him back to full power as a god of chaos. As the League of Lois Lanes arrive with Superman and Jimmy in tow, a battle breaks out with Mixie. Finally back together, Superman and Lois apologize to one another for ruining their date and share their first kiss. Jimmy interrupts, pointing out the chaos around them. Lois has a plan. As Superman tries to capture Mixie, the imp creates portal after portal, avoiding Superman at every turn. Lois uses one of these portals to their advantage, grabbing Mixie's hat, while Jimmy grabs the now powerless Mixie. With the imp imprisoned, Jelana Olsen helps Jimmy, Lois and Superman escape back to their own reality. Jimmy walks off to give Clark and Lois some privacy. The couple kiss and go off to make the most of what's left of their date night. Returning to her apartment later on, Lois examines the information sphere she held onto. Mxyzptlk reappears, having escaped from the League of Lois Lanes, and Lois is able to turn on the sphere. It shows her other versions of Superman from across the multiverse, all evil versions. Just as there are other Lois Lanes who aren't like her, there are other versions of Superman not like the one she knows, or thinks she knows. Giggling at Lois's disturbing discovery, Mixie vanishes, leaving Lois confused and afraid. I gave this episode a 5 out of 5 rating. It's no secret that Mxyzptlk is my favourite Superman villain. While this version of Mixie is quite different to the magical fifth-dimensional imp fans are probably more familiar with from Superman the Animated Series, this take on the character is no less enjoyable. Mixie is still completely mischievous and makes a fool out of Superman in this take on the character. The imp is annoyingly adorable while also being a huge threat. The League of Lois Lanes is a new idea. It was fun seeing Lois confronted with versions of herself who are more successful or have achieved more than her. It gave Lois an insecure side of her character that fits in nicely with Clark's own insecurities. The conversation the two have when they're reunited plays on this so well. It brought a smile to my face. Once again, there was a lot to unpack in this episode that made it feel so much longer than 22 minutes. Seeing so many different versions of the characters from across the multiverse was a real treat. Seeing familiar versions from past animated shows and nods to comic book stories was a lot of fun as well. I'll definitely need to re-watch this one to check them all out all over again. My Adventures with Superman isn't holding back. Each time you think they're going to settle down and allow what has happened sink in, something new pops up. There are new threats and discoveries around every corner for Clark, Lois and Jimmy. I can't wait to see what this show throws at them next. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.